Okay, so welcome everybody to today's session, which is Canvas and Zoom Essentials for New Staff. As the title indicates or suggests, this is a session for new staff members, but usually we have a few returning staff members who just need a refresher as they begin teaching again for the new term. So all are welcome, of course. Okay, so yeah, my name is Jeremiah. I am a member of the Department of Technology Enhanced Learning here at MTU. We are this team who are based in the Melbourne building on the Bishopstown campus. So there on the right-hand side, you can see the Bishopstown campus map. And in the bottom right-hand corner, that square building there, that's the Melbourne building. And that is where we are based, which is useful to know, particularly if you're doing any online delivery of modules. We have a number of e-learning studios available for you to book and to use. I'm in one of those right now. We've got some nice equipment here, which kind of helps with the delivery of your online lessons. So yeah, that's worth knowing. So what do we do? So as it pertains to today, talking about Canvas and Zoom, we deal with the basically the digital learning infrastructure that you use to deliver your courses and your educational content to students. And so that's kind of what we're talking about today. And then kind of beyond that, we're kind of looking into the future and what are the emerging digital learning trends so that we can kind of keep an eye on what's coming down the road and best support staff here at MTU in terms of the digital learning infrastructure that we provide. So what are we going to cover today? The Cork Tel ecosystem, which I've kind of just begun to suggest there. I'll just talk a little bit more about that briefly. Then we'll jump into a live demo, logging in and accessing modules in Canvas. Just your first steps using Canvas, getting orientated with it in terms of the interface. I'll show you one or two modules just as examples of how modules can be laid out, courses can be laid out in Canvas. And then I'll jump into a blank one and start setting up a few little things quickly just so you can kind of get a sense of the workflow. And that'll include uploading files or adding links. And I'll show you the assignment function in Canvas as well. Then at the end, I'll just show you the Zoom integration in Canvas. I think there'll be more coverage of Zoom over the rest of the sessions this week as well, but I'm talking about it specifically in terms of Canvas today. So yeah, as I mentioned, I keep saying the word Canvas. For those of you who may not be familiar with that, Canvas is a learning management system, or LMS. If you're coming from another university, they may use the term virtual learning environment, or VLE, and they're synonymous with one another. They're similar. Similar concept. So Canvas is our LMS. So all staff and students have access and are enrolled on relevant modules on Canvas. We have a system called MyBan, which is our student information system. That's the system that deals with enrollments. So if your students or yourself aren't enrolled on a module that you should be, you would be contacting the MyBan team to resolve that. And so, yeah, what can you do with a VLE or an LMS? You can share resources, receive assessment files, do grading, communicate with students, and so on. So we've had Canvas here for a few years now. Canvas is a really good LMS, actually. It would be kind of my preference of all the main ones, having used a few of them over the years. And that's particularly because of its ease of use. It's got kind of a nice, simple interface. It's clean, it's intuitive, and even if people lay out courses in different ways, there's still consistency for the students. There's a mobile app for both teachers and students, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Canvas has good learning analytics, which help you kind of gain insights into how the students are using your course. And that's, of course, particularly useful if there are students who aren't logging in and you need to just make sure that everything is okay with them. It's got good integration of media, so you can record audio and video messages in Canvas as part of your teaching delivery, or even in terms of feedback. And then leading on from feedback to the SpeedGrader. SpeedGrader is the grading center of Canvas. Then importantly and very usefully, and I'll show you where this is in a moment, we have tier 1 support for Canvas. So in addition to the TEL team supporting Canvas have their own support infrastructure, and that is a 24/7, 365 support. So anytime, day or night, you can get on a kind of a chat and talk to them and resolve any issues that you're having. So in addition to Canvas, we have a number of different tools that are integrated into that. So for live online lecturing, we use Zoom. So for a lot of your meetings, you've probably been using Teams, but Zoom is the tool that we use for delivering online classes. For anti-plagiarism, we have Turnitin, which is integrated into Canvas, and I'll show you that. If you want to do any kind of additional e-learning authoring, by which I mean kind of adding interactions or just kind of making your content more engaging for students, we have a tool called H5P that's also integrated. There are a number of automated assessment tools, notably Labster and Numbus. They're probably more discipline specific. So if you're working maybe in computer science or maths or some kind of lab course, you might be using those. If not, and they're not familiar to you, then don't worry about that. As I mentioned, the learning analytics are integrated into Canvas. And then for digital attendance, we have a tool called Quickly. So yeah, there's a number of various integrations that we have, but really the core of our digital learning ecosystem here, it revolves around Canvas and Zoom. And there, as you can see from that wheel, Canvas has the assignment function. It's got a calendar function. You can upload files, hand out resources to students, and take attendance. And then in terms of Zoom for online teaching, you can use a Q&A function, which you can feel free to do so during this session if you want. Breakout rooms to kind of get students discussing ideas and concepts. Screen share function, of course, and the Zoom whiteboard. So as I mentioned, Canvas has an app, a separate one for teacher and student. You can do quite a lot with the Canvas app. You can do most of the things you need to do, actually. But if there's only for one reason that you might want to download it, it is for the announcements tool that you can communicate with your students on the go. So for example, if you're held up for some reason and you can't make a class or your class is running late, just having the app on your phone that you can quickly send out an announcement and know that all students will get that. That's a kind of a top tip, just to have that at hand whenever you need it. But yeah, I'd encourage you to download the teacher app, explore it, and see what you can do with it. As I mentioned, the student information system and the enrollments are managed by the MyBand team. If you have any issues with enrollment or your students do, you can query that with Web for Faculty at mtu.ie. So they're the team that resolve that. So it's Web for Faculty Cork at mtu.ie. So accessing Canvas. So as I mentioned, the session is going to be archived on our YouTube channel, so you can always refer back to it. I'm going to share the materials afterwards as well. But really, I guess if you have one takeaway today, it's really how to get in, well, maybe two takeaways: how to get into Canvas firstly, and then secondly, where to find help if you need it. So that first one is addressed by going to the URL citinstructure.com. So that's the domain name for accessing Canvas. So I'd recommend you bookmark that on your computer. And then you log in by entering your MTU staff number. So that's the letters MS and then your number, 123456 at mtu.ie. And then MTU has single sign-on in place. And linked to that is a multi-factor authentication process. So typically, once you log in with your email address and your password, you'll be prompted via the Microsoft multi-factor authentication, either by a text or a call or a push notification to your mobile app, depending on what way you've set that up. So then briefly, I'm just going to talk very briefly about Zoom, and then I'll jump into the live demo. I'm not going to live demo Zoom because we're in Zoom. It can be a bit tricky to do that. But basically, the login details for Zoom are the same. You log in with this domain at the top here, telcit.zoom.us. And for any brand new members of staff, MTU in a previous life was the Cork Institute of Technology, CIT, and that's what that domain name refers to there. So telcit.zoom.us, and then you sign in with the same credentials that you would for Canvas, the MS 01234556 at mtu.ie, and then confirm your identity with the multi-factor authentication, or MFA. And that's going to be the same when you log into any of the kind of resources here at MTU. So sorry, that's if you're logging into Zoom from a website. If you have the Zoom client downloaded onto your computer, you can log in with the SSO option, which you can see highlighted there in that red rectangle. SSO refers to single sign-on. And again, you click on that button and then log in with your MTU staff number and then confirm your identity with your multi-factor authentication. So when you log into Zoom, if you haven't used it, this will be very quick because I expect most people will have been in Zoom at some point over the last few years. You'll see something like this. On the very bottom left-hand corner, you can see that there's an audio button with a pop-up arrow, same with the video button with a pop-up arrow. If you log into Zoom and either your audio or your video aren't working properly, you can adjust it from there. I'll show you a screenshot of that in a second. And the other thing I want to bring your attention to is if you're sharing slides, you use this green share button at the very bottom. When you click on that button, it will bring up a number of different windows or the desktop. So you can see the top row there or the entire screen. So there's two desktops connected to my computer when I took the screenshot. And you can choose the full screen, which is useful if you need to go back and forth between applications, or if you just want to share from PowerPoint or a particular application, you can choose that particular window. The other thing to pay attention to is over on the right-hand side here, you can see there's layouts, and underneath that there's options. If you're sharing video content in your course, or sorry, in your online lecture, it's important to take that share sound tick box before you share, otherwise the students won't hear the audio that's coming from your computer. And then in addition to that, then as I mentioned in the bottom left, you have the microphone icon and the camera icon. That's where you choose the sources for the video and audio sources that you're using for your session. This is important if you have multiple devices connected to your computer, as you can see I do here. And it's just important that you've chosen the correct microphone and speaker configuration. And similar for the camera option, if you have multiple webcams, like the built-in one in your computer and an external one, it's important to make sure that you've chosen the correct configuration there. And then finally, before I jump into the live demo, some supports. So as I mentioned, the Canvas Tier 1 support is excellent, really useful. The live web chat in particular. I'll show you that when we jump into Canvas. You can also submit a ticket to them by emailing them, or you can call them. So there's a number of different ways that you can reach out to them. Some additional supports then would be the TEL website, our own website. That is tel.cit.ie. And in there are a number of different supports for staff, different guides, login links for Canvas and Zoom. Loads of good resources there. So I'd encourage you to go there and just have a look around just so you're familiar with it. Again, you can bookmark that in your web browser. And then finally, all of these training sessions that we deliver, we archive them on YouTube, and there's our YouTube channel. You can find it also by just going TEL MTU, searching YouTube, and you will find us. So here, just really briefly, is the TEL website. You can see the domain name once again up on the top right-hand side. And there along the bottom, you can see there are staff resources, upcoming training sessions, and so on. And then finally, I'm going to just show you this course in Canvas as a kind of a starting point. So this is a Canvas Learn for Staff course. This is basically an online training resource, which is very useful as a revision tool or a refresher tool. So for example, you might not need to be building out assignments until week 3 or whatever it is of your course. And by then you might have forgotten what you'd learned, or you'd just need a refresher on it. So here you can kind of jump in and see how quizzes are made or assignments are made. A very, very useful resource. So with that said, I'm going to jump into that first, maybe. Actually, I might just jump into Canvas in general. Sorry for that. Okay. So when you log into Canvas using the citinstructure.com domain name, this is what you should see, or something like this. This is the Canvas dashboard. On the left-hand side from top to bottom, we have this global navigation menu. So you can see your account details are here. If you get notifications pushed to you, you can find them there. A couple of other details. Actually, sorry, let's continue on. So yeah, the dashboard, the next item down, beyond admin, that's kind of something that I have as a system admin. But the dashboard is your kind of home or landing page when you jump into Canvas. And you can see here, mine is set up with these tiles, and these are published modules, of which there are 12 visible. And there's also a number of unpublished modules. So as implied by the name, the unpublished modules are not visible to students. you might have your module unpublished while you're building it out. And then you publish it. But there's no issue with having it published and then building it out and hiding the content within it. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. One thing to be aware of, if you're doing a lot of teaching and you're teaching on more than 20 modules, this dashboard only shows you 20 modules. So if something is missing and you're not seeing it here, you need to come over here to the global navigation menu on the left. And you can see under the dashboard, there's another button here called modules. When I click on this, it pops out a menu, which is a list view of that. You can see first is all modules, and then published modules reflects what we're seeing on that screen. And on the bottom, there's unpublished modules. So if I want to see every module that I'm linked to, I can click all modules, and then I get a longer list. And over here on the left-hand side, in the left-hand column, you can see a number of these are starred. That star is basically just favoriting those modules, and that favoriting means that they appear in your dashboard. So if you're missing a module, the first thing to do is go into modules, click on that all modules link, and check down here just to make sure it isn't listed. And if it's not listed, you can tick the little star icon, and then that will appear for you. Okay, so that's important to note. A couple of other features that are important and useful. The calendar feature here on the global navigation menu, beginning of term, so there's not much visible on mine. Over here on the right-hand side, you can see that there are a number of different courses that I'm associated with, and you can kind of hide or make these visible by ticking that colored box there on the left. Let's see. And so this is a really handy way of just kind of keeping track of what's upcoming in terms of your semester. Next down, there's an inbox. I'm not going to click into this because I have some correspondence from students. But there's an inbox that you can correspond with students or staff. You can correspond by section or by group, which is very, very useful. And then there's also a history button, which is actually quite helpful if you want to get back to some module or section that you were working on recently. That's quite useful. Okay, so I'm going to jump back to my dashboard really quickly. And I wanted to show you that Canvas Learn for staff. So that's this module here. So I'm going to click into this little tile, and that's going to open up that Canvas for Learn course for me. So you can see as I join and jump into a course, in addition to that global navigation menu on the left, I also get a course navigation menu. So here you can see I've got a number of different items. Because I'm an admin or a member of teaching staff listed on this course, you can see there, I can see all of the different sections that are listed in the course navigation, but you can see a number of them have this little eye through them, which indicates that it's not visible to students. So that might be that it's been set up to not show to students, or if there's no content in there, there'll be nothing to show to students, so it doesn't show them. So, for example, if I go over here to the top right, you can see that there's a View as Student button here, and if I click on that, I'm in student view mode now. So that's really important to, it's a really important kind of resource or function to use when you're building out your course content to make sure it looks how you intend it to look for your students. So this gives you the same view that they have, and it's indicated by that pink and purple line along the bottom of the screen. This is also really useful if you want to test an assignment. So if I create an assignment, I can jump into student view, I can take the assignment or the quiz, and then I can leave student view. And when I leave student view, it'll retain my the data that I've inputted, and then I can go back to the Grade Center and have a look at that just to make sure it's all working properly. So yeah, I'd recommend jumping into this course and having a look around. It's also worth looking at it from a kind of perspective of, I guess, instructional design, or how you've kind of how you might lay out a course. There's no hard and fast way of doing it. This is actually quite a good way of doing it. There's a bit of information at the beginning, and then each section is laid out by these different tiles. So if I click into Getting Started in Canvas, you can see each page has been given a number. So section 1.1, which I think is a really good thing to do, kind of gives it a book-like navigation function when you're kind of going through the course. And so you can see that there are previous and next buttons on the bottom, and I can navigate through this. I'm in section 1.2. Here, I mentioned H5P at the beginning as an authoring tool. So the person that built out this course has embedded this image, and I think there's some hotspots here. This is using H5P, I believe. Can add some images, some more hotspots, and so on. So it's worth navigating through this just to see an example of how a course is laid out. I think this is all quite good, quite clean. And lots of helpful information here. So over on the course navigation menu, when I click the home page, I get this. I can also, so I went into the units by clicking on these, but I could also go into the units by clicking the unit button on the course navigation menu, and I can see a list of all of those. So yeah, I just wanted to signpost that to you. I'm going to leave student view, and I'm going to go back to my dashboard because I want to show you one other example of a course that's somewhat different. So this is a course that I was co-delivering on this term, just to show you a different kind of layout. So we looked at the last one had a number of tiles on the front page to navigate through. This one kind of foregrounds core information like module delivery, learning objectives, and so on. I'm going to go into the view a student mode again here. And you can see there's a few more items in the course navigation, but all of them are relevant. So I think that's something for you to bear in mind. What are the core things or the important things you need your students to see? The other ones can be hidden, and that kind of tidies up the interface. So here we've just made a little banner. We're foregrounding that module delivery information so students can always find it really quickly when the sessions are happening, what time they're happening. The learning objectives or learning outcomes, depending what way you want to present this, are foregrounded here as well. Students can find a PDF of the full module syllabus. They can see when their assignments are coming up, the due dates, and so on. And then there's a section for contacts and support. So I think it's good practice. Again, you don't have to lay it out this way, but this is one good way to do it, I think. And then when you're ready to get started on the module, you click here. And then that brings you to these units. So you can see in the course navigation menu on the left, I'm in units. And then you can see the list of all of these different units. They're laid out by week. You can lay them out by week or by topic or whatever way you prefer. So you can see that these weeks, these units can fold in, so they contain information. There isn't really a folder structure as such in Canvas. Basically, the units are kind of like a folder almost. And then within that, you can have bits of content. You can't have folders in here, but you can indent the information to kind of give it a sense of hierarchy. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. And then here in this instance, as I mentioned, this is co-delivered by me and Brian. And just to do that and to distinguish whose content is whose, we've just made a little header here, and then we've indented the content underneath that. So it's kind of clear to the students whose content is whose. Okay, so that's just an example of a module. I'm going to jump into a blank module, which will be more akin to what you'll see if you're starting to build out your module now. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard here on the left. I'm in student view, so it's saying access denied. So I'm going to go to the bottom right and click leave student view. And now I'm going to go to this sandbox course in the bottom. You can see this is unpublished currently. When I click in here, this is completely blank. This is just a kind of blueprint course that they'll all be set like this if it's a new course. And it'll bring you into this page. And you can see here, it says create a new unit. So I can click on this button here to create a new unit, or I can go to this blue button on the top right-hand side. So all of these sections over here on the left, like announcements, assignments, discussions, and so on, any of these where you add content, they always have this blue plus button to add something. So I could add an announcement. If I click on assignments here in the course navigation, I can add an assignment. I can add a discussion and so on. But I'm going to just work in the units for the moment. So I'm going to go home again. I'm going to click create new. Actually, I'm going to hit the blue button. So I'm going to call this week 1. And again, you can name it by concept, by topic, or by week, whatever your preference is. And when I click that, I get this gray box, and that's kind of my folder, for want of a better term, my unit where I can put content for this week. So there are a number of different levels of publishing in a Canvas course. So over here on the right-hand side, you can see that the module status, the actual module itself, is currently unpublished. But I want to publish that, so I'm going to publish that now. And so now my course is published. So actually, if I just jump back to my dashboard, we'll see now that it should have left the unpublished modules, which it has, and now it's under the published modules. So I know my course is published. So I'm going to go back here. Where did it go? There we go. Yeah. But if I click view as student, again, always checking to see what the student sees, there's nothing in here. You can see a couple of different things in the course navigation menu, but there's no units. So I'm going to leave student view. The reason that they can't see this week one concept thing is because these blocks also need to be published. So if I move along this gray block to the right-hand side, I can see that there is a circle with a line through it. So here I can publish this unit and all the items that are underneath it, or I can publish just the unit only. For now, I'm just going to publish the unit only. I want students to see that there is a week one section in here, and I'm going to start adding content, which will be unpublished until I'm ready. So next to that publish button, there's a plus button. So if I click on that, it gives me this pop-up window. And here I can add all kinds of content, a number of different content types. So I can add an assignment, I can add a quiz, I can add a file, a page, a discussion, a text header, an external tool, URL or an external tool. And just to kind of point out, so like it says add assignment, I could create a new assignment here, or if I wanted to, I could be building them out over here in the assignments section of the course menu. And if I build out a number of different assignments here that are unpublished, when I go to my units, they will appear in that list. But this is a completely blank course, so they don't see that right now. Or sorry, we don't see that right now. So I'm going to start with a page. So a page is a kind of blank piece of content where you can add text, media, you could add H5P content or a number of different things. Actually, the first thing, sorry, I'm going to jump back a step. First thing I'm going to add actually is a text header, because as I showed you in that other course, it's a way of kind of identifying, it's kind of like subdividing your unit. So like if you're co-delivering with somebody, it would be a way of separating it, or it could be by concept or topic or whatever it is. So here I've just got a text header. This doesn't do anything. It's just kind of a separator almost. So I'm going to publish that as well. So I can tick that little box there. And now I'm going to go add again. I'm going to go add a page. If I'd created pages over in the course navigation pages section on the left, there would be a list of them here, but I haven't created anything. So I'm just going to click create page. I'm going to call it welcome. And underneath welcome, there's an option for indenting it. So I'm going to indent this one level just so it kind of it shows a kind of a hierarchy over my name and the content. So here you can see this is unpublished. When I click into this, it brings me to this page. You can see there's nothing in here, just the title. So when I'm here, I need to go to the top right, click the edit button, and then the edit button opens up this rich content editor, also referred to as the WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get, meaning that whatever I type and put in here is what will be displayed once I save it. So got some text over here. So you can just type in here. I've just prepared some text to save me typing. Let's say that there. So I would encourage you in terms of accessibility to use the different headings that are available here. That's important for students who are using screen readers and so on. So all the kind of normal text functions that you would have in Microsoft Word or whatever word editing tool you would have are here, of course. There's a couple of other options along the top. So there's a link function here. So if I click the drop down, I can link to an external website. So I could highlight this text, go to a website, grab the URL, click text, external link, paste that link in, and now you can see that there's a hyperlink in my text. Additionally, which is very useful, is the linking to module content. So under external link, there's module link. So if I click that, it'll ask you to link it to an assignment or a page or a quiz or an announcement or whatever it might be. And that's a really helpful way of navigating your students back and forth around your course. Along the top again here, I've got an option to add media content. So I can upload an image. If I've got images stored in my module, I can upload them or other user images. Next one along is kind of media content. So I can upload or record media. This is actually very useful. And as I mentioned at the beginning, Canvas is good at handling media. So if I wanted to make a welcome message to kind of personalize the course, I haven't met my students yet, but I'd like them to speak to them directly. I can just click here, click the upload record media option. So I could drag a video from my computer up here, save it that way, or I can click the record tab on the top. I can check that it's seeing my camera, which it is, check my mic and so on. And then when I'm happy, I can start recording. It'll give you a little countdown. And say, welcome everybody to this course. Really looking forward to working with you on this content, or whatever it is you might want to say. And I can just save that media. And that media should kind of render out here. It's a short clip, so it should be relatively quick. And so if I scroll down further, once I've built out all my page, continuing along the top here, I can also upload documents here. So if you want to embed a PDF, you can do that there. I can embed videos from YouTube. Here's H5P, which is our integrated authoring tool. There'll be other sessions on that. I won't get to touch on that today. And there's a few other options down along here, like just kind of text formatting, tables, and some kind of math equation tools if you're teaching math-based subject. You can schedule the release of this if you wanted. You can make it available from a certain time. And then once you're happy with it, like all of these, it's important to save at the bottom. And actually, sorry, just to point out here, as you're editing this, you can make it longer by grabbing these little dots in the bottom corner, in case it's too small and you're not seeing enough. Okay, so when you're happy with it, you can save. I could save and publish it straight away. And so there's my page with my content. You can say, welcome everybody to this, ready to go. And so once I'm happy with that, I click the publish button. I'll go back to my current home page. And now you can see I've got my journalized content, I've got welcome and first steps. So the other kind of things you might want to share with students are announcements. So really quickly, over in the course menu here on the left, I've got my announcements function. Again, I've got this blue add box. So I'm going to click that blue add box. I'm just going to say welcome. Text. If you've got sections set up in your course, so for example, some people teach the same course to multiple cohorts across the university, and they cross-list the courses, so they kind of merge the courses together. But if you want an announcement to go to a particular group, a particular section, you can use this post to sections function there. You can schedule it. Once you're happy with your announcement, you can publish that. And so now I've got an announcement. That's really great because students can reply to those. When is class, whatever. So students can reply, that's really helpful. And so you can have a bit of a discussion around a topic there. But if you do want to have a proper discussion, I would encourage you to use the discussion forum, which is over here. And again, same functionality, click on the blue button, add a discussion. You can say discuss article, read this. Embed an article there. Let's see if I've got one handy. I'm going to click on the document option over here. So upload document. I'm going to go to my computer, click upload file. Should have something on my desktop here. So there is a PDF available for them to read. I'm going to save and publish. So there's that discussion. If I click on that, the students can download the PDF. So that rich content editor or WYSIWYG editor is the same in the discussions, the announcements, and so on. So sorry, I'm going to go back to my course here. Where's my course gone? Oh yeah, sorry. So I'm going to go back home here. So I mentioned a while ago that if I click the plus, I can add content from here, or I can build it out in the other section. So because I've just built out that discussion, I can click the discussion option here. And now I can either create one from new here, or I can just choose that one that I've already prepared, that discuss article post that I just made. So I'm going to choose that one, embed it there, and it's published straight away because I've already published it. But you can see that the indent is kind of back a level and I'd like it to come forward. So if I click on the three dots over here on the right-hand side, you can see I've got a number of functions here. I can increase the indent by 1 or by 2 if I want to. And so now I can keep that kind of hierarchy going. So 2 more things to get through. I'm kind of getting close to the end of time, but I'm just going to really quickly show you 2 additional things. The first one is assignments, which is important. So I could build out the assignment here. Or I can do it again from my unit top level. So I can click that plus button. I'm going to go assignment. I'm going to click create assignment. I'm going to call that assignment 1. So this is going to be an example of a text-based kind of a Word document upload style assignment, which is probably the most common one. I'm going to click add item, and you can see I've got an assignment here. I'm going to actually indent this twice just to keep that hierarchy going in my course. I'm not going to publish it because I want to create it first. So I click into it. So here I can see my assignment section. And again, the format is consistent for all of these different sections. I go to the edit button on the top right here. So I'm going to click edit. And again, I'm brought to the WYSIWYG editor and I've got an assignment title here. Assignment, and I've got some assignment text. So now I've given my students clear instruction about their assignment, how many words it should be, what they're tasked with doing. And then I scroll down to make sure all my assignment settings are okay. So firstly, I would go to the points section. I would always mark out of 100. It just makes it easier, I think, when kind of collating all of them at the end, collating all the results of all your different assignments at the end of the gradebook. I can display them as points or percentage. I'll go percentage. If I scroll down a little bit further, sorry, zoom in here. I've got a submission type. It can be online, which would mean that the students would type in that WYSIWYG editor on paper or external tool. Online, is what I want to use. If I chose text entry, the students would be typing into that WYSIWYG editor, just to clarify. But I want to go file upload. So basically, I want the students to submit an essay, and then file upload will be the option for that. I could restrict the file types to make it only Word docs, but I'm going to leave it just uploads. Submission attempts, you can limit this to 1, 2, or 3. I'd recommend leaving it as unlimited because, if a student has an error and they want to re-upload, it saves, all of them emailing you to say that there was an issue and they uploaded the wrong one or whatever it might be. So if you leave it as unlimited, Canvas will track when they uploaded how many versions, so you'll see that information anyway. So you can always query it with the student if you need to. And then if you want to use a plagiarism checker, such as Turnitin, which is a plagiarism detection tool that we use, you go to plagiarism review section here, and then choose Turnitin. That will open up the Turnitin integration. At least it should. This is the joy of doing a live demo. It's probably just a little bit slow because I'm streaming out to Zoom here as well. Let's try it again. Yeah, there we go. So, and that gives you the different Turnitin options. So I can upload to the student repository or compare it against submissions in the student repository or institutional one, or against periodicals and journals. So typically these default ones are the options you would typically leave. And then it's up to you about whether you want to exclude bibliographic materials and so on. You can decide when you want to, or if you want to show the report to students. This is again up to you to decide. And then you can schedule this. So I could schedule this for tomorrow. I'm just going to publish it now just so we can see that in our section. I'm happy with everything. I'm going to save and publish. And here's our assignment. So as I mentioned a while ago, using test student is really important in this to see how your assignment has been set up and is it working properly. So I'm going to go view a student up here in the top right, jump into student view mode. And now I'm in my test student and I can try the assignment to see if it works. So this is what the students see when they jump into the assignment. There's no due date because I didn't set one, 100 points, and they have to upload a file. So I'm going to click Start Assignment. You could have a media assignment and they could actually add content there, or you can upload a file, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to click Upload File, and I should have an essay somewhere. If I choose File, here's my student assignment. So it's just a Word document. I'm going to say, note for my teacher if I want to. There's a little agreement down here. So the students have to agree that or acknowledge that the submission is their own original work. And when I'm happy with everything, as a student, I can click Submit Assignment. And they get this little confetti notification, which tells them that they have submitted, which is a nice little feature. So I know that that works. I'm going to leave the student view now. And then in terms of grading, Canvas has a really good grade center. So again, if I go to my course navigation over here, there's a grades section. And as I can see here, there's only one student, which is my test student that I just jumped into when I clicked student view. And I can see that they've added one assignment here. And if I click the little button there, I get a pop-out window over on the right-hand side. And I can jump into the speed grader. And now I can see their assignment, their essay, and I can give it a 80%. I'm feeling generous, and I can submit. We're going to do a separate session on assessment and grading and things like that tomorrow. So I'm going to just leave that section at that. And then one final thing that I want to show you before we wrap up is the Zoom integration. Actually, two things, sorry. The Zoom integration, and I just want to show you how to organize this navigation on your left. So just before I show you Zoom, this course navigation, it's a bit cluttered at the moment. So I want to remove a number of these items. And I can do that by going to Settings here on the very bottom. So if I click Settings, it brings me into this page. And along the top here, I can see a number of different tabs. The one I want is Navigation. And this navigation list directly reflects the course navigation here. So if I scroll down here to the bottom, you can see all of these are the ones that are visible, even though a number of these have their eyes crossed out, showing that they're not visible. That's just because there's no content in them. If I added a quiz, that would become visible to students because it's listed here. But if I scroll down here, I can see this note says drag items here to hide them from students. So I can simply grab these here and drag them down. So I'm just going to tidy up all of this for the moment. There's the analytics. Units I want, quizzes. I'm going to hide quizzes because I'm going to add my quizzes into my units. So that doesn't need to be visible for them. I'm just going to do a dramatic cull of all the items here. So, and I can reorder these discussions. I'm going to put announcements at the top maybe. And so here's what my new course navigation is going to look like. And before I navigate away from this page, I have to make sure to go down to the bottom and click Save. And that saves that. One last thing which is useful is while I'm in settings, in the module details, this first tab, if I scroll down here, there is an option on the very bottom which says show recent announcements on module homepage. And I think this is very useful. So I tick this on and I ask it to leave the 3 most recent announcements shown on the homepage. So now when I update my module information, if I go home and I click view a student, I get a much tidier course. So now I can see I just have my homepage, which is this. There's the announcements function, which are also showing up here because I just ticked to show the last 3, the units, the discussions, and the assignments. So that's a much cleaner kind of navigation for students. The last thing that I want to show you, mindful that we'll wrap up very, very soon, is the Zoom integration. So I couldn't see Zoom there on my course navigation. So I'm going to go back down to settings, over to the navigation tab on the top here, the 3rd one in. And I'm going to go down here and find Zoom, which should be there somewhere. Yep, there it is at the bottom. I'm going to bring that all the way up. Oh, let's zoom out a little bit. And okay. Again, I'm going to go down to the bottom and remember to save. And so now I can see that I've got Zoom on my course menu list. Course navigation list. So if you are teaching online and you need to set up an online classroom, you're going to click in here to the Zoom option in your course navigation. So rather than logging into Zoom separately, you're going to do it from within Canvas. So the first time you do this, it will ask you to log in. That'll be using the credentials that we spoke about at the beginning in the kind of slide section of the presentation. And so here you've got 3 different tabs: upcoming meetings, none are scheduled, previous meetings, and cloud recordings. So if I want to schedule a new class or a recurring class, I go to the blue button on the right-hand side, schedule a new meeting. So Tuesday class, you can give it a description if you want. You can say when it's going to happen. I'm going to say it's going to happen from next Tuesday, 3 o'clock for 1 hour. Does it recur? So I'm going to say yes, it's going to recur after 7 occurrences, just for the sake of it. You can set a passcode if you want to. The one thing that is important to make note of is that the security function here by default only allows MTU Cork staff and students to log into this course. So if you were having an external speaker come into your course, someone from another university, you would have to change this to all authenticated users. That's important. And once you're happy with that, you can, the other thing I would also do is record the meeting automatically in the cloud. So that way students can always refer back to the recording of the class. Click save. And now, if I go back to Zoom, you can see here that there is a list of upcoming classes for the first half of the semester. And then once each of these classes has finished, because I've set it up to be automatically recorded, they will show in the cloud recording section there. So I'm mindful of the time. It is 10 to 3, and some of you may have classes to go to. So I don't see any questions in the chat. I'll just leave it there and say thank you for joining the session. Thanks for your attention. Do keep an eye on the upcoming training sessions we have over the next 2 weeks. Lots of good content in there. There'll be more stuff about assessment, about other tools like H5P and so on. So yeah, please do keep an eye on those. And thank you very much for your time. Great talking to you. See you soon.